All right, the moment of truth grows ever nearer. Will football be coming home this weekend? Well, we'll find out tonight, or we'll find out to a certain extent tonight. It's England against Croatia at 7 o'clock this evening. It's the second of the semi-finals. The winner plays France after they beat Belgium 1-0 last night. Harry Redknapp is coming up on World Cup Daily this afternoon. He was sitting down with Dave McIntyre with thanks to AIB a little earlier on. We'll bring you that piece shortly. We'll also hear from Prince Harry, because Henry McKean of News Talk shouted out, is football coming home to Prince Harry when he arrived at Áras an Uachtaráin yesterday. We'll bring you his response a little bit later on. But before we get into England, we do want to talk about Brazil against France, and Phil Egan, as always, is with me in studio. Good afternoon, Phil.
Very good afternoon to you.
Very good afternoon to you too. Sore losers.
Belgium. Yeah.
The sorest losers. When we hand out the awards at the end of the tournament, Thibaut Courtois and Eden Hazard are going to get the awards for the sorest losers.
Yeah, like obviously Belgium-Brazil was a great game. We wanted a cracker last night. I thought in the first minute when Mbappe put the ball down the channel, I thought, oh, this could be electric. It didn't turn out that way, but it was a fairly impressive performance from France, and the fact that they were quite comfortable. But after the game, Thibaut Courtois, who actually had a very good game, as did Eden Hazard, but he said France were anti-football. He said France heads a corner, does nothing more than defend. Now, they defended rather well. Courtois also said, I would have preferred to have lost in the quarterfinals to Brazil. At least that was a team that wanted to play football. Then Hazard, who, you know, had a decent game. There was one incident where he got taken down on the edge of the box and the referee waved play on. It was a clear free, but I was in quite a dangerous position. But he said, I prefer to lose with this Belgium than win with this France. But they do defend strongly and are very efficient. We've not found their weak point. That little moment of magic needed to score was not there. We've seen a fantastic Belgium team and have been eliminated by a team that was more solid than us.
Did Hazard say the comments here on Belgian TV? This is him sitting in studio, or so you think. This is impressive technology here from Belgian television, where they've got a hologram of Eden Hazard in studio giving his post-match comments. It is incredible, Phil. You tipped us off about this.
Yeah, this is the future. I mean, we could get somebody in here, you know. I mean, we could have got Hazard in.
Well, we could have.
Got his flip-flops on as well. So I'm just trying to work out where or how they're doing this, but I would definitely be all for this kind of post-match analysis.
The most famous hologram since Tupac, I think, Eden Hazard there last night. That's amazing stuff. That really makes up. He actually looked rather happy to be doing that. There's one thing actually having the technology to be able to do that, but also persuading a fella who's just got knocked out of the World Cup to actually sit down there and we're going to transport you to a different country.
Yeah, and I can tell you from working with the international team here that it's not always easy to get the players to talk after a match when they go through the mix zone. So I don't know how you do the any chance of a word on, do you want to be the hologram today? You're the chosen one. I don't know if they want to do it.
Do Courtois and Hazard have a point?
No. I mean, that's part of football. They should know that. The two of them play for Chelsea. They should know how good N'Golo Kante is. I was just watching him last night. He's just brilliant.
Yeah.
People very impressed with Pogba, the discipline he has, but it definitely helps having him there. And you know, there was people going, "Oh, why doesn't he do this for United? You know, every week." It was a World Cup semi-final. I mean, he's obviously going to be up for it. He mightn't want to do it on a cold night away to Brighton or something like that, but it's a World Cup semi-final. I thought he was really good.
It looks like they're going to win the World Cup now, and at which point we have to kind of decide which French player is going to win the Golden Ball.
Like Mbappe had his moments last night. The flick was incredible. I had to watch that again a few times to work out what he did. It wasn't just your run-of-the-mill back heel.
No.
It was brilliant. But I'm just looking at the starting 11 last night, Owen, and you look at the back four, all in their 20s. The oldest player, Varane, 25.
That's incredible.
Hugo Lloris is 31. He's actually had a really good tournament because people are starting to worry. He made a few uncharacteristic errors for Tottenham this season, but he's had a good World Cup so far. Pogba and Kante. Pogba's 25, Kante's 27. You know, Kante's one of those players that, by the way, we know how good he is defensively, but his distribution has improved so much in the last couple of seasons as well. Mbappe, 19. Griezmann is 27. Matuidi and Giroud are obviously in their 30s. They won't be there, say, in 4 years' time. But I'm looking what they have in reserve. A 21-year-old Dembele, Fekir, Lamar, Tolisso, Mondi, all in their early 20s. They have so much talent.
the French wave is coming, and
this is a golden generation.
This is a golden generation, and we'll get John Duggan's take on Belgium a little bit later on as well. He was obviously at the game last night. In your opinion, was that the chance for the golden generation? Just looking at the back three last night, they're all going to be well deep into their 30s come the next World Cup. Company is probably definitely not going to play. Definitely not going to play in the next World Cup. Alderweireld and Vertonghen also, they're going to be 33, 34.
Now I think that was it. I mean, we don't know what they'll do in the Euros maybe in a couple of years, but I just thought it was a strange team selection as well. I know we'll go into it in more detail with John, but Moussa Dembele, who John is a fan of, and I think a lot of Premier League fans do rate him, but I didn't think he had a particularly good game last night.
No, when he doesn't have the players around him, or when not the players around him, but when he's getting smothered by the opposition to that extent, or when they're just happy, when Kante and Pogba are just happy to let you pass the ball laterally and happy to let you dribble like a couple of touches forward and then make the dispossession, that's when Dembele struggled, I think.
Yeah.
As I say, we will be chatting a good bit about England throughout the show this afternoon. Kieran Bradley, our resident Englishman, will be in before the end of the show, as will Leon Blanche of Boyle Sports. You can go on to offtheball.com/Boyle Sports for all your special offers. Of course, there's royalty in town at the moment, and I'm not just talking about Harry Redknapp, I'm talking about Prince Harry. He was in Orsa Nucleron last night, and News Talk's Henry McKean asked him the big question.
It's been coming home.
Thanks to Sky News for that clip.
I just wish he had been a bit more expressive, where he just gave it the face. He goes, "It is coming home."
Yeah, I wish he did as well. I wonder where he'll watch the game tonight. Probably
Temple Bar.
Yeah, probably.
English jersey on him.
The living room.
Yeah, the outside. Yeah,
queuing up on O'Connell Street.
Yeah, him and Meghan. Meghan obviously has the England kit on as well.
Yeah, of course. It's just the scenes, the pint throwing. I wonder, would Prince Harry be prone to throwing a pint if England score?
I don't know. I
probably not.
I hope not.
I hope not as well. They've like all the football's coming home memes. They've done one now of that video of Prince Harry doing an interview in Afghanistan, and then he turns around and runs away towards the military helicopter because there's a security threat. They've done that when he actually hears football's coming home. I genuinely believe I think all the royals are huge England fans, and it's just it's timing that they happen to be here when this is on.
William is a Villa fan as well, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Who does Harry support?
Arsenal.
Is he Arsenal?
Is it Arsenal?
He is. Yeah, because the
Arsenal,
cup final.
Yeah,
that's right. He obviously knew that Arsenal were going to field a weekend side against Forest last season, and he planned the wedding for the day of the FA Cup final. He knew.
He was just, he wants to get out of the country after Jack Wilshere has left. That's the reason he's here. Right, we want to bring you some Harry Redknapp now. He's in town with thanks to AIB, sponsor of the All-Ireland Football Championship. And they invited Harry and Gianluca Vialli to embark on a journey into the world of GAA to be documented in their new mini-series, The Toughest Rivalry. Redknapp and Vialli have been tasked with taking charge of club sides Castlehaven and Erin's Isle, respectively, as they prepare for the rematch of the epic 1998 AIB All-Ireland Club Championship semi-final that left both teams with unfinished business. Their experience is going to be documented in an 8-part mini-series to be broadcast on YouTube. The first episode available on AIB's YouTube channel, youtube.com/AIB, on Friday, July the 13th. Dave McIntyre sat down for an extended interview with Harry Redknapp, which is coming your way later in the week. Have a look at what he had to say about England.
Harry, I know you've been pretty positive on England from the very start, but surely even you wouldn't have envisaged that you'd be preparing and they would be preparing for this evening's game, a World Cup semi-final.
No, I couldn't see it coming, not before the World Cup, but everything has panned out well for us. It's just been amazing. I certainly thought we'd come out the group, no problem. I mean, it was a poor group, Panama, Tunisia. I mean, very poor teams. It was obviously us and Belgium were going to come out the group. But then, losing to Belgium, I felt was a fantastic result for us. It put us in a group where we had a great opportunity, and we've taken that opportunity.
How do you see it going tonight then?
Tonight I see a tough game, much more difficult game tonight. They've got some good players, Luka, Modric and Rakitic in midfield. They've got real quality, and they're a very together team, Croatia. I've made a lot of Croatian players, and every one of them I found to be great guys, and I think they're very proud of their country, and I think they're going to want to. They'll be difficult to beat tonight. I think it'll be a tight game. I could see it going to extra time again, and if it goes to penalties, I'd fancy England. I think we look like we've got good penalty takers, but it wouldn't surprise me if it went all the way.
Luka Modric is obviously a player you've coached with, and you've coached him against him as well. And there's a very good chance if he has another 10 out of 10 night, England will not win this
Yeah.
game. So what do they do to ensure that he doesn't have as much of an influence on this game as he has others?
It's very difficult to stop him. He's always available, always wants the ball, takes the ball in tight situations. We haven't got a player of that ilk really in England. He's an absolute, I think he's a world-class midfield player. So he's going to in Rakitic as well, you know, from Barcelona. They're not exactly, you know, they've got real quality in there, and they're going to keep the ball. They'll get on the ball and play. We're going to have to get after him and really try to swarm all over him and Rakitic if we can. But we've got good players going forward. You know, Dele Alli can create and do stuff. Sterling, and obviously we've got Harry Kane, which is a bit, you know. But we've looked solid at the back. As I say, the opposition hasn't been great, but I think Harry Maguire's been incredible. He's been absolute star man. You know, his performances have been top class. But I've looked at him for years and felt he was a real player. You know, he's one of those. You look at him, he's not a great mover. He's not silky smooth, but he's so effective. And but the whole team really, they look like they've got a good spirit there, and a lot of credit goes to Gareth as well.
So is it just going to be one of those nights where maybe they won't see much of the ball? They'll have to be patient, concentrate 100% for 90 minutes, cut out the mistakes, and then believe that you've got the players that when the break or the chance does arrive, that you'll take it, be it a set piece or a counter attack.
Set pieces are going to be vital. I think we're going to be stronger than them on set plays. That's where we're powerful in the air. You know, all Harry's goals have come from set plays, really. You know, and then you know the centre halves come up. They're great in the air. That's going to be a big problem for Croatia to deal with. But no, I think it'll be a tight game. It's not going to be an easy one, that's for sure.
Yeah, Harry Redknapp there speaking to Dave a little bit earlier on. He's in town with thanks to AIB, #the toughest. Luka Modric, would that give England fans nightmares, particularly around 2007?
Yeah, I was just thinking back, that is the most famous game between England and Croatia. The Wally with the Brody, Steve McLaren after that one. That meant England didn't go to Euro 2008. That's kind of when I remember really Luka Modric announcing himself on the international stage, where we know how small he is in stature. Like physically, he's not the most imposing, but I just remember that night thinking, this guy is running the show.
Yeah.
He's gone to Wembley and he's just been the best player on the pitch. And obviously I was looking at the teams. So the England team, obviously we know Scott Carson played in goal that night. We all remember the goal that he gifted Petric, which knocked them out. But a back four of Richards, Campbell, Lescott and Bridge.
Right.
Wright Phillips got the nod that night instead of David Beckham, because David Beckham had already gone to MLS. So, you know, he was kind of looked down on.
It's kind of like the David Nucifora rule.
Yeah, absolutely. Gerrard, Barry, Lampard, Joe Cole and Peter Crouch. What happens when Petric scores in the 77th minute to make it 3-2? They bring on Darren Bent, who Harry Redknapp knows well from his time at Tottenham. But there's just looking at the team that Croatia had, obviously we mentioned Modric. He played that night, as did Chorluka. He was part of the back four, which he's going to be part of the back four tonight as well. Yeah,
okay. It'll be very interesting to see if there's any nightmares from that game. It's such an iconic moment for English football, not qualifying for 2008. It's one of the main reasons why I'm just thinking to myself, the Croats, they've always got it over England, whereas this is really the only time we can actually point to where they've had the hoodoo over them.
Absolutely, yeah. Sure, England beat them in the Euros in 2004.
Yeah, there you go.
But I think the general feeling I would have going into the game is Croatia are a better team.
Yeah.
But England are playing them at the right time.
Yeah,
that's the way tournament football works out. People will obviously remember 4 years ago, we all remember Germany beat Brazil 7-1. But before that, Germany had a few tight games in it. Because a lot's been made of England's easy draw, and look, it has been easy. But if they beat Croatia and then by chance they were to beat France, you can't really say that they don't deserve to be the champions.
Well, John Duggan's going to be watching it for us tonight. Let's go to Russia. John Duggan, hello Moscow. I think you're back in the capital.
Eoin Phil, yeah, just arrived back at Leningradsky station here now. So just arrived in after my slow boat to China, the 10-hour journey from St. Petersburg to Moscow. But yeah, back here and on ground I know well now after a month. And
back where you belong.
For tonight's match. Sorry, Phil?
Back where you belong.
Back where I belong, yeah. Comrades. So looking forward, of course, to Croatia against England this evening.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I know you just got there, so it's hard to tell right now whether or not there's going to be a big English contingent or not. The fact that the final's obviously there as well could mean an influx of fans if they win tonight throughout the course of the next couple of days, you'd imagine.
10,000 they're saying tonight, which would be an improvement on what I've seen on my travels. I saw them against Panama and Nizhny Novgorod, saw them against Belgium in Kaliningrad, saw them against Colombia in Moscow here, and I saw them against Sweden down in Samara. So I've seen, apart from the Tunisia game, I've seen England the whole way, and their support has been exuberant and good, and they've banging the drum the whole game, but it's been pretty small, guys. What do you expect from an England fan base? But I think that will change now, given the fact that it's 28 years since the West Germany game, 1990, and I'd expect 10,000 in the Luzhniki Stadium, which has got a 78,000 capacity. So those who are moving heaven and earth should get into heaven, which is to watch England play a World Cup semi-final this evening.
I wonder, because it's all been a bit low-key for England in this World Cup. There hasn't been many fans. Maybe they were put off by what has been reported before the tournament. Imagine you're those England fans that arrive, you haven't gone to any game, and you arrive over for the semi-final thinking football's coming home, and then they get beaten tonight. I'll blame them.
That's the gamble. That's the gamble, guys. And for me, often the best part of sport is the 5 minutes before the game starts, wherever the game is in the world, whatever the sport is. That can be the most beautiful moment, because everything is clean. Everybody's have their predictions, and nobody is right, nobody is wrong. And that's the bit I always savor the most at times, when it's just about to start. I've been posting photos on the Twitter page of Off the Ball during the tournament of, they do this, they've got the same ritual at every ground. They've got the same music. They play Thunderstruck by AC/DC. They play that bongo song. I think it's a dance hit from 2001.
Belter of a tune, yeah.
Yeah, cracking tune. And it took me about a month to find out what it was. I wasn't really one of those ravers back in the day. And then they bring out, the volunteers bring out the flags just before the teams come out. And that's the moment, I think, when you really feel, wow, this is the World Cup. And those England fans, I applaud them. I admire them for taking the risk and spending their hard-earned to get over here for the game. And if it works out for them, great. They'll be hanging on for a few days, and they'll obviously see a bit of Moscow. And if they're going home, they're going home. But you got to be in the game. You got to play to win. And if you're not in it, you can't win it. And I always admire fans from any country that get out that credit union loan.
Have you seen Croatia play during this tournament, John? I think you were at the Argentina game. Like, what's their support been like? We've obviously seen that controversial video after the last game at Vida and all that, and the history that some Croats view Russia through the spectrum of that. You can say all you want about the coverage that was about Russia beforehand and hooliganism and English fear of going there, but it seems Croatia have a sort of a stereotypical dislike of the country even more than England do.
I don't know that for a fact. Croatia is a very passionate country. Went through a terrible time in the early 90s, as we know, with the conflict with the Serbia. In 1998, it was a joyous moment for them when they reached this stage of the tournament, and they were, for a couple of minutes, they were on the way to the final when Davor Šuker put them ahead against France in Paris, and then they lost 2-1. Lilian Thuram, a defender, scoring twice, which was strange. But finished in the semi-finals, did themselves proud. Goran Ivanisevic, as we know, is probably their other most famous sports person. Once again, an extremely passionate player, and they're just a passionate nation, I think. But I think they're a nation that is, well-meaning towards everybody. And I think the controversy has been a little bit overblown. That'd be my view on the Vida thing.
Let's talk a little bit about this game. Harry Redknapp there talking about the importance of shutting down Modric when he was speaking to Dave a little bit earlier on. How do England do that, and just how important is it?
It's vitally important, given he's been playing further towards the opposition goal during the tournament as a kind of number 10, the playmaker, with Rakitic further back. And of course, there's various options in the team of, like, where does Brozovic play? Is he going to be more of a deep line player to allow these two players to show their worth? I think Dele Alli will probably be on Modric tonight. I'd expect Dele Alli is a player who plays on the edge, plays physically. Maybe they will try and unsettle Modric a bit in the game, England. I don't think it's all waistcoats and wonder from Gareth Southgate. There has to be a bit of steel there as well. And I think maybe Ali could be the player. There's obviously the option of playing Dyer alongside Henderson, but I can't see him changing it from the 3-5-2. I think width is important for England, and pace is important for England tonight, and getting on the front foot early and getting those crosses in from Trippier or Young and getting Raheem Sterling involved behind that Croatia defence. Of course, Dejan Lovren having a howler of a game against Tottenham earlier in the season, in the Premier League season, when they lost 4-1 and Harry Kane ran rampant. So I think Dele Alli will be the key player there. Don't know if you agree, Phil or Owen, but I think Dele Alli will be the person marked with taking on Modric.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the Lovren and Harry Kane thing was brought up already this week with Lovren, and he got a bit prickly about it because he said, you know, you bring up the bad moments, what about the good moments? But then you think back to the 2-2 draw at Anfield, and Lovren had that bad moment which led to a penalty where his touch then inadvertently played Kane onside and he won a penalty. I suppose the worry when you think that Chorluka is going to come in, because obviously Versalco is injured, Croatia are going to have to sit deep. They can't play a high line, which is what Liverpool did that day at Wembley against Tottenham, and that's where Lovren got exposed. So this is going to play into England. England are going to face a Croatia team that play deep and are going to force England out wide. England have wing-backs, and they have two very good wing-backs that can deliver a ball. People have made a lot about Ashley Young. Oh, he's not left-footed. But I don't think there's a player that can get the ball onto his right foot as well as Ashley Young. You know what's coming, but he can still do it. So there's going to be so many balls into the box, and this is surely England's best chance.
Yeah, and it wasn't Young who had the assist for Harry Maguire's corner the other day. Of course, Stones had a couple of headers against Panama. They'll be trying for corner set pieces, and I think as we saw last night with Umtiti, a pretty soft header. They really matter in this World Cup. I think VAR has maybe something to do with that. And it's just there are important players in the English team, though. Lingard can't go missing. Henderson has to play as well as he did against Sweden. He can't go missing either, and it is a strong four across the middle. Obviously, they're playing a little bit interchangeably, and they're not exactly in a straight line for Croatia. I like Rebic. I think he's an exciting player on the wing. Once again, put in inside, and it'll be interesting to see whether they play Mandzukic or Kramaric or both in the team. Andre Kramaric, popular with the Croatian fans, seems to have his feet on the ground, and Mandzukic, who's pretty wrecked after the Russia game. We know what he can do. Of course, he's won Champions League with two different clubs. But I don't think England would be worried possibly about this evening. I don't think they'll be having sleepless nights as much as they might be on Saturday night if they're facing Kylian Mbappe.
Which of these teams, John, is best equipped to beat France on Sunday?
I'd say Croatia, just because of the quality of the midfield. And I think England getting to a final, I think actually that would be the moment when it does dawn on the England players. And I would be a little bit uncertain of their composure within that system. I think that France have had their final, which they failed in a couple of years ago, and France have been on that graph, that progression to get to now. Whereas I think England are still on the graph. They've done very well. I think even if they lose tonight, it's a win as a tournament. Of course, people want them in England, want them to go and win the whole thing now, but given where they come from, not even getting out of the group stage, Costa Rica out of the group stage against them in Brazil and losing to Iceland, I think it's been a very successful tournament, whatever happens tonight. And I wouldn't be changing my view of that, given whatever happens tonight. Teams can have freak results. They can get hammered. We got hammered to Denmark. Denmark themselves in '86 got hammered once they got out of the group. So I think England are building for the future. Gareth Southgate has cleverly framed the conversation that way. So even the message before the game has happened is right. But I think England will win tonight. I think that the pace in the team, the way they play, I think there'll be a fresher side. And I think if they can get an early goal, they can really stride on to victory. And I think Croatia might find themselves a little bit surprised, because I think that in Croatia they'll probably expect to win as well.
Do you think if England were to lose tonight, it would be a failure? I know it seems strange because before the tournament, we're talking about England, if they get to a quarter-final, that's good. But the way the draw has opened up, that I can't help but think those English fans that are making the trip to Moscow today, on their way home, if they were, like, they'd be having the conversations in the pubs after, if we had beaten Croatia, we would have got to a World Cup final. A Croatia team which, you know, has a few injuries, has plenty of miles on the clock at the moment because they've been dragged into extra time the last couple of games. And even before the tournament, I would have looked at Croatia as an ageing side anyway.
And aside with the issues with Lovren and Modric in that court case, and with the change of their coach who shacked up for the Ukraine game and said, okay, let's do it, lads. And they don't practice penalties, which I find strange. They're in a way the antithesis of England, but with obviously a lot of technical ability in the team. I still think, though, if England lose, I still think it's a success. I really do. And I think that you just have to be realistic about where England were and where England are now. And within a very short space of time, they've got to the stage where they're 2 wins away from winning the World Cup. And I think that England might be a little bit ahead of where they could be if they've had success at 17 and 20 level. And I sometimes feel that teams go on a graph. I think Germany went on a huge graph to get to 14. Spain went on a graph to get to 10. And that's the way I kind of see World Cups going. Brazil went on a graph to get to 2002, having lost the previous final. So I think these things move in a certain direction. There are cycles in football. And England, I think, are at the start of their cycle. And it'll be pretty special for them if they were to win it. I remember France in '98 to reach the semi-finals of the Euros and beaten on penalties by the Czech Republic just before they won it. So I think England are at the start of the cycle, and I think despite the obvious disappointment that'll follow if they do lose this evening, I think that if you want to be winning, like England want to be winning a World Cup, if they don't win this one, having been talked about before the tournament as in the top 3 or 4 potential winners, given the talent at their disposal and the way they play. Hard to judge because they always win their qualifying games, but that's what you want to see. You want to see people talking about England players well. You know, they're strong contenders, as we have talked about France, and as France have proven to get to the final.
Yeah, France, of course, last night beat Belgium to get their a 1-0 win, and there has been kind of a multitude of different views around this. Like we were talking about Hazard and Courtois at the top of the show, and how they said that they'd rather lose with Belgium than win with France, which is a little bit harsh, John, isn't it?
It's frustration. Like France frustrated Belgium. If there was one word to describe Belgium, how they felt yesterday, I think it was frustration. And I've got a friend who lives in Brussels. He's lived there all his life. He's Irish, but he's lived in Brussels all his life, and I think that's what he felt as well. It was frustration. And the question he asked me, and he says, what else could Roberto Martinez have done last night, really? I think Belgium don't have as many good players 1 to 11 as France do. I think there are a few players in the Belgium team, especially in the middle of the park, that were outshone last night. And when you're limiting the likes of Kevin De Bruyne impact, as much Hazard tried, I think that's where Belgium fell down, and France was put on a clinic of play from 1 to 11. Mbappe being extremely exciting to watch, guys. Just so exciting to watch. Every time it's like rugby back in the 90s. Get Simon Gagan the ball, get Mbappe the ball, just give him the ball and see what he does. Just what a joy to watch a footballer like that.
Is he going to win the Golden Ball, John?
Sorry?
Is he going to be the Golden Ball winner?
Well, he's the favourite. He's the a hot favourite. I suppose the question I was thinking about, I think he probably will win it. Would France win the World Cup without Mbappe? Possibly. Would they win it without Pogba? Would they win it without Varane? Would they win it without N'Golo Kante? That's probably the question really to think about. If France are going to win the World Cup, is Mbappe a bit too soon to be winning the Golden Ball? But he scored against Peru. He was the match winner against Argentina. Last night he showed moments of absolute brilliance, even when the back heel to Giroud didn't come off. But there was a moment in the game when he just left Kevin De Bruyne on his backside, just tricked him and blitzed past him. Like, as Brian Kerr would say, he was on a motorbike. And I just felt that was the moment, that was the game in a nutshell, because Kevin De Bruyne was so influential against Brazil, and Mbappe just left him in his wake. It was tumbleweed stuff, and that's why I just can't get enough of watching players like that in the flesh and looking up to see him play football. So Mbappe against Harry Maguire will be interesting if it does transpire.
Yeah,
so I think he's the Golden Ball favourite. But like, if Croatia win the World Cup, will Modric win the Golden Ball? Sometimes these things go with a player. I know we have Oliver Kahn in that, but sometimes these things go with the player or the team that wins the tournament.
John, one player who's not going to win the Golden Ball is Olivier Giroud. Hasn't scored in the tournament, but you were at the game last night. I don't know, I mean, we can't see everything on the TV. I know why he's in the team. What did you make of his performance last night? He certainly puts himself about.
He put himself about. I think he got a knock. He got a pretty nasty knock.
The calf,
Dembele,
yeah.
That might have limited his influence a bit. He had a header in the first half that looped wide. It's tireless work. It's. I think he's a much better player than Stefan Givars was, but it's a bit of a Givars role that he's in. And could have done better with that chance that Mbappe gave him, but I suppose France were leading and they were on their way to victory at the time. So has had a good season in terms of latter stage of the season. Is one of Deschamps has his favourites. Giroud will be in the team for the final. Matuidi will probably be in the team for the final. So he kept them busy, and I suppose he kept the Belgian defenders busy to allow Griezmann, who I think played very well, probably the best game of the tournament so far from him, and Mbappe to be hovering around. For Belgium, I'm looking at the age of their squad, like Alderweireld's company, Vertonghen. Is this their last World Cup? What's coming through? I'm not so sure what's coming through. And it's a bitter place to lose. But I think there were enough things that concerned me during the Japan game, which made me feel that yesterday that France would come through, and that's what happened.
Okay, John Duggan, thank you very much for that. We'll chat to you again tomorrow. It might be our last World Cup daily tomorrow. Should England lose?
I'm sure there might be a preview for the final on Friday, but yeah, I mean, World Cup daily has been a highlight, lads, and I'm sure there'll be lots of things to talk about whatever happens this evening, and the great thing about it is we don't really know yet.
That is very true. John, take care. We'll chat to you tomorrow. John Duggan there, writer for offtheball.com and our man on the ground in Moscow. Now, sticking with France for the time being, French football expert Philippe Auclair joined us in this morning's OTBAM to chat about his country's passage through to the final. We asked him who he think Deschamps' side would rather face on Sunday. Deschamps was thinking about it today when he's looking at the game in Moscow tonight. Who's he hoping for in the final, Philippe?
I think he'll be... I mean, from Deschamps' point of view, I don't think he cares that much, to be honest. I think England will be a far more difficult opponent than Croatia. In any case, I don't think Croatia will go through tonight, so there you go. And I don't think anybody in France thinks... I mean, I think Croatia is too lightweight to put any kind of resistance to that French team, which is really solid and physically very solid. That's the other thing that really impressed me by them. Their physical capacities and their fitness is truly excellent. And I think Croatia simply wouldn't have the tools for that. England would pose a completely different threat, if only because England are so good on dead ball situations. That they would present, I think, more of a threat. But nobody has yet come across a solution for how do you solve the Conte problem. This boy is just extraordinary. It's just like everything, he breaks down everything. And so it might be that a more direct kind of play, having good crosses of the ball as England has, and one exceptional one, might be a more direct kind of game might actually work against France. But they are now, I think, overwhelming favourites.
Yeah, overwhelming favourites indeed. And speaking of favourites, it's Boyle Sports time. It's Leon Blanche in studio. How are things?
Good on, yeah.
Just looking at this tonight, offtheball.com/Boyle Sports for a great new customer exclusive offer for England to beat Croatia at odds of 10-1 and Kane to score first for new and existing customers 4-1. Is the market favouring England?
Yeah, it certainly is favouring England. They're 13-10 favourites, 6-10 to qualify. And any paper I've read this morning, any website I've looked at, any radio station I've heard, everybody to a man is expecting England to win and go through to the final. This is their biggest test against Croatia, I feel. Croatia were brilliant in the group. They haven't really been impressive in the knockout stages, although they're in a World Cup semi-final. It took 2 penalty shootouts, as we all know. But 8 of England's 11 goals have come from either corner kicks, free kicks or penalties. So you can give a lot of credit to Southgate and his backroom team that they've really identified set pieces as being a major contributor in knockout football. And I think if you look at it, they kind of seem to set up these 3 or 4 lads in a line when there's a corner or a free kick, and it's very hard to defend against. And Croatia, as we saw against Russia, when Russia got that equaliser in extra time, they were terrible at the free kick. They were all over the place. So I'm sure Southgate will be targeting that. But I have a feeling with Croatia that because everyone is tipping up England, they're coming in here now. They probably will be a little bit tired, but this is a World Cup semi-final. This is your chance to play on the biggest stage ever, a World Cup final. And they'll have more possession than England, I'm sure of that. And that'll help their legs. Modric is their key man. They do have a couple of worries about their full-backs. They've picked up a couple of knocks. And their coach is renowned for not actually playing players that have any type of knock at all. Maybe he'll make an exception because it's the World Cup semi-final. But I just look at Croatia and think 13-5 to win in 90 minutes or 13-10 to qualify. They're the same price to qualify as England are to win in 90 minutes, 13-10. And I got it wrong yesterday. I thought Belgium would be able to do something. But I'm going to stick my neck out, and I think Croatia, they have this thing about them. They seem very together. I know England are too, but I think this will be very tight. I'm not expecting a lot of goals.
No, but I think it'll be better than last night's game.
Yeah, last night they kind of cancelled each other out, didn't they?
Like England don't have that ability to be able to kill a game, because for all they talk about, oh, we're better with the ball than we ever were, they still can't, play the clock down the way, say Spain could do. They're going to have lulls in the game. I think they'll look for their fast start and see what they can do. And if they do get a goal, then it's perfectly set up for them to hit Croatia on the break. But it wouldn't surprise me if it went to penalties. And funnily enough, actually, I'd favour England in penalties, because Croatia have looked ropey enough in the penalty shootouts. I know they've come through too, but their keeper, actually, they have a lot to thank for. I wonder how fit Subasic is. Are we going to get the case of like an under-10 schoolboy match where the centre-half has to take his kickouts because he has that hamstring problem from the Russia game?
Yeah, it's going to be... Looking at the odds, England are slightly favoured when it comes to penalties.
Yeah, they are slightly favoured. And I just got the end of John's piece in terms of Croatia don't practice. It's clear that England have been practicing penalties. Because to be fair, OK, Jordan Henderson missed, but every other penalty, there was no saving. There was absolutely no saving. Henderson was the one who actually looked nervous coming up when he was doing a couple of solos. That was, it almost felt like he was trying to give himself confidence. But I think England lads have practiced. That's why they're favourites on penos. England are 11-8 to keep a clean sheet. And I know we're talking about Kylian Mbappe and we're talking about Harry Kane and we're talking about Luka Modric. But I think Jordan Pickford has been a revelation for England. For a young kid who didn't really know whether he was going to be the number one. There are three young keepers. He's picked the youngest out of the three keepers Gareth Southgate has, and he's really stepped up to the mark. I think when England have needed Pickford, he's really delivered. I gave him a bit of stick for the goal that was scored against Belgium, but maybe he knew what was down the line anyway. But I'm just saying he's been really good in penalty shootouts. He pulled off a couple of decent saves against Sweden, when if Sweden had scored, maybe they might have got back into the game. But I think Pickford has been really, really impressive to me. I agree with Phil. I think this could go all the way to penalties again. I think it could be very tight, a very, very tight game, but more of an open game than last night. France, to me, last night, it was amazing to see Giroud, Mbappe and Griezmann, as soon as Belgium got the ball, retreat back into their own half. At all times, they had 11 men inside their own half when Belgium had the ball. So Didier Deschamps had a plan. It worked for him. I'm sure Gareth Southgate has a plan. I've been really impressed with Southgate. He comes across as a really level-headed guy. He's talking today, if they lose, he'll be back in Yorkshire walking his dogs, and we'll kick on again. And I heard what you said to John. Would it be perceived as a success? I feel it would be.
Yeah. To
get to the semi-final. I think nobody... I know the draw's been kind, but I don't think anyone expected England to be in the last four. But they're a young team, and certainly being in a semi-final, if they don't get to a final, they can only improve come the Euros in 2 years' time.
Yeah, like it's when you mention the quality of the game last night, or the excitement in the game last night, I should say, it doesn't necessarily mean that the game was low on quality. And I think that that's kind of a debate we're having during this tournament. Is it a good or a bad tournament? And I think it's widely accepted to have been a very, very good tournament. But that's because of the drama, really. There's only been so many games like Spain versus Portugal and Argentina against France, and last night's game, which were just packed with top quality footballers. And it just so happened that last night cancelled each other out, whereas Spain, Portugal and France, Argentina, it was just goals galore.
It was goals galore. And I think last night, if Belgium had scored in that hot period of the first kind of 20 minutes, then we would have seen an entirely different game, because the French would have had to come out and get an equaliser. But I think you saw with Deschamps, having watched that first 20 minutes and having not fallen behind, he decided to change things, and he decided to say to himself, when Belgium get the ball, everybody get into your own half and let's try and narrow the space. Because in that opening 20 minutes, Hazard was really impressive down the left. You called it yesterday. You said, I'm very interested to see the French right full up against Hazard. Hazard put him in his pocket for the first 20 minutes. He was causing all sorts of problems. I remember when he cut in off the left and hit that shot that I think it clicked off Varamb's head and went out for a corner.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that could have went in. That could have went anywhere. And then we're looking at a much more open game of football.
Yeah.
And hopefully, from a neutral's perspective, you'd like to see an early goal tonight. You'd like to see a goal inside the first 20 minutes to really open it up. And personally, I'd like to see Croatia get it, because England, as of yet, they haven't gone behind. I'd like to see their mentality and their reaction to going behind. I know they went behind against Belgium, but there wasn't a lot at stake in that game.
We can't count that game.
No,
really.
so I'm talking about a game that really means something. And I think tonight, if they go behind against Croatia, we'll really see how far have England come, or are they still a little bit tentative? Are they still a little bit nervous? So it'll be very interesting to see. I think Croatia are too big. At 13-5, I thought they would have been a lot closer in the betting. And maybe people are looking at those couple of injury doubts, the 2 extra time, the 2 penalty shootouts, but I like those odds.
Yeah, I just think the worry from an England point of view is that they haven't been tested. They're almost like that boxer that is almost has hand-picked opponents, and then they're thrown into a title fight and they get hit, and then it's like, whoa, we haven't suffered like this before. But that would be my only concern, that if they do go behind, how will they react? Yeah. But Croatia don't have blistering pace. Perisic gives them an out, but I've actually been really disappointed with him, because I've been impressed with him for Inter Milan. There has been talk of him moving to the Premier League. I know Jose Mourinho's looked at him, and if Mourinho's looking at him, he obviously sees like there's a purpose to him. So maybe tonight is the night that he puts his hand up and produces a performance.
Are you going along with Leon that it's going to be Croatia? You are tipping Croatia, right?
I am. I'm just going to go Croatia. Just pretty much really on the value. And I just think that they should be a lot closer in price. I don't see Croatia being a 13-5 in 90 minutes, or even 13-10 to qualify. I mean, a lot of people are talking about the 3 centre backs, primarily Maguire and Stones, as being England's goal threat. Now, I alluded to it earlier on, Southgate does spend a lot of time on set pieces, but surely the Croatian team, who flew straight to the destination of tonight's game after they got by Russia, surely they will have looked at England. 8 out of 11 goals have come from set plays. If they can try and stop England from set pieces, it might just give Croatia the edge. So yeah, I'm going for Croatia. I'm going to be a little bit negative and go 13-10 just to qualify, because it might just go all the way again.
Okay.
The love train. Can Croatia stop the love train from corners? I wonder, I'm trying to work out what's the best way to stop it. Do you go man for man, or do you go zonal, or do you do a bit of both? Maybe you pick up a few, like maybe you go man-to-man on the likes of Harry Maguire and John Stones, but what I guarantee you, Harry Kane is going to go sniffing after Dejan Lovren, because he knows if he gets himself attached to him, he could probably engineer a penalty. VAR, we haven't talked about it the last few shows because it hasn't been involved. Yeah, maybe VAR creeps its head back out tonight.
Yeah. I think there's 2 sides of Lovren, brilliant or atrocious. He played really well in the Champions League final, but then against, I remember Kane at Wembley, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a shocker.
He was absolutely shocking.
It was taken off.
Yeah, so you can either get the good or the absolute dreadful of Dejan Lovren. So I'm sure Croatian people will be hoping it's the other. Yeah. It's a good Lovren tonight.
Fingers crossed. I'm going for Croatia as well on Leon's side on this one. Remember, you can go on to offtheball.com/boilsports for exclusive listener offers. England to beat Croatia for new customers is a massive 10-1 at the moment if you hop on there. Or Kane to score first is 4-1 in tonight's game. That's an enhanced price for new and existing boys. Leon, thank you very much.
Thanks, Owen.
Good chat to you again. Speaking, steal the limelight from the World Cup. He only signed for Juventus.
But the remarks after this Champions League victory, which is the ones you're talking about, had been festering with him during the year. He'd argue with Real Madrid about the contract, his wages. He'd been promised a wage rise. He didn't think it was coming quickly enough. They said, right, okay, if you want to leave, we'll help you. We'll if you can find somebody willing to buy you for 100 million euros, 100 million euros plus, i.e. we more than get our money back, then we'll let you go. And of course, what's now apparent, and from those he briefs in Spain, we're a tight group, but then they speak a lot. The fact that Real Madrid were willing to lower his buyout clause from €1 billion to 100 million euros was a terrible insult. You don't want me in that case. It's like haggling is a very difficult, offence-laden business.
Yeah.
And he took it that their even willingness to talk about selling him to a competitor meant that his time was up. And I think this has been maybe 6 months in the brewing. Yeah. And the tipping factor, Joe, was that overhead goal in Turin when the fans applauded him. Now, you remember on the night, he did that sort of, well, thank you, I'm not worthy, or I'm humble about your applause in Turin. And in the mixed zone afterwards, spoke about his eternal high regard for the Turin club and how Juventus had always been important. Okay. But it began there.
Really? Very interesting. Joe speaking to Graham Hunter on last night's show about Cristiano Ronaldo trying to steal the limelight. Right, a lion has entered the den. Good afternoon to you, Kieran.
How are you?
Did you see Anthony Joshua on his statement last week when he signed up to Wembley for another 3 fights? Said a 4th lion has entered the den, and I was like, that's a good old nod to the good old 3 lions. Will the 3 lions be roaring home to the final?
Yeah, go on. Why not? No, I was thinking this earlier. I am very nervous, but it's kind of nervous excitement. It's been a tournament where, for the most part, barring the Belgium game, match on match, they've shown something different, and they've kind of added a little bit more to the game and made the fans feel a little bit more confident. So it's going to be a very, very difficult game. Absolutely no doubt about that. But I think that just little factors from how the games went on Saturday might be the things that edge it, maybe physically. So,
how nervous are you going to be at kick-off time?
Exceptionally. Now that I'm talking about it, it's coming home to me how exceptionally nervous I will be. But look, I mean, this is something that's completely new to me since 1996 was obviously the semis there. I remember that in the Euros, but this is the first World Cup semi-final I can ever remember.
I remember it, lads.
Yeah.
1990, I can remember it, yeah.
When this was all fields.
Oh yeah, England, West Germany. When that ball deflected off Paul Parker, went over Peter Shilton. Yeah. I thought, you're in trouble now, England. But they came back, they got the penalty shootout.
Yeah. Well, look,
tears.
That's it. Well, I mean, we had Chris Waddle on the show on Sunday, and it obviously meant a great deal to him. We spoke to when we heard him on Saturday on 5 Live. He was completely choked up, and I was very emotional on Saturday. Like it was more comfortable than I think a lot of people had anticipated. But it's really important, and you got to remember this is actually for all the jokes about Brexit and the like. There's a lot of kind of political and otherwise division in England, and to bring out Britain more widely there. So, things like this where people can row behind something and just go, you know what, let's really get behind the lads and cheer for something is really good. And I'm delighted. And whichever way it goes, honestly, I'll be very proud of how they've conducted themselves as much as anything. And Southgate in particular, there's a big man crush developing there.
Are you getting sick of the Irish rowing in behind the English? Did you not you just get sort of pleasure out of Ireland hating England?
No, not really. I mean, I'm half Irish myself, so that's the case. But I think what I did notice on Saturday was, after England, in the interim period between England beating Sweden and the Croatia-Russia match, I think people started thinking, okay, this is looming into sight, that there is a possibility that something might be coming home here. So a lot of people were they got very pro-Croatian in that period, because I think they realised that Russia, bar any nefarious syringe work, might not actually do anything against England. So, I'm quite happy for any support that's coming. So we shall see.
Yeah, I think, as I said the other day, I think Irish people were kind of, do you know what? They're a likeable team, but now it's getting to the business end. There is people that are going to be watching the match tonight going, if they win against Croatia, lads, they're in the final. They're one good game away from winning the World Cup. Anything can happen in the final.
Yeah.
One of the French players could turn into Zinedine Zidane and headbutt someone.
Yeah.
And then they're down to 10 men.
It could well happen. Here's a piece of analysis that we played on OTB AM this morning, but it's worth playing again. It is the greatest clip in the history of EastEnders, in my opinion.
I'll tell you what we want to do, stick someone on Modric, early doors. He gets more space than NASA, that little mug. And then we just sit back, wait for a corner, Harry Maguire, boom, sticks it right in the net. Ta-ta, Croatia. I'll tell you what, we're getting that final, we'll win it. You know that, don't you? Oh, see, he's done the slips and old David Davis this morning. Put Southgate in there. That's what you want to do. The only geezer I know wears a waistcoat better than me. I did tell you it was coming home, didn't I?
I don't know, I lost you at NASA.
How do they shut down the real estate that NASA might enjoy tonight?
I mean that's gonna be key. I'm hoping. I was just thinking about this with Modric having gone to the Champions League final as well as a fairly, well, I would say punishing, but a long league season for Madrid. You just wonder how much, whether it's one game too far, lads, for the little wizard. But in all seriousness, though, I do think the physical factor does actually play a part here. I think the fact that England were pretty much at 70% for the most of Saturday and plus didn't have extra time, that plays into their hands. But look, if Modric has a great game, he'll kill us. That's it. There's no way around it. He's the best central midfielder in the world. But I think Jesse Lingard and Dele Alli are going to have to really put a proper shift in this evening, because they're going to have to harry, and they're going to have to be very aware of where they are in terms of their space. So we shall see.
On a scale of 1 to Sky Sports News, how excited are you for videos of people throwing pints tonight?
I'm full-blown yellow ticker, yellow tie.
Where do you go to the same place to watch the games?
I've become, my cousin was saying this to me, we've become disturbingly superstitious with it.
Yeah, you got to stick with it.
Don't mix it up. Brewing Bar. If any people want to come and throw pints at me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to do a Lions roar, mainly because we're going to play the video. I've told in my ear we're not going to go off air until you do your Lion roar. So maybe when I sign off here, we're just going to stay on air for the entire afternoon. You've got one last chance if you want to.
Kitty.
That was Kieran Bradley there, pre-Columbia. It's worked.
Well, yeah, you know what, you can't argue with that.
I just wonder, will you be roaring after tonight? Will they get the rematch against Belgium?
Yeah,
the teams go up against each other.
That will be worth tuning in for. What's your prediction, scoreline predictions tonight?
It's a shame we don't have Theo Walcott, really. That would be handy enough. I think it will be 1-1, and then nick it in extra time, so Harry Kane in extra time. So 2-1.
I'm thinking 1-1, goes to extra time, goes to penalties, and I actually think England would beat Croatia in penalties.
Okay, right. So you're going along with the betting lines. I'm going for Croatia to win 2-0. I'm very sorry, Kieran. I think
really
it's the end for football, and also the football world deserves exactly what you said. England B versus Belgium B for the second time. That is what this World Cup deserves. Thank you very much for your company this afternoon, gentlemen. We'll chat to you tomorrow, probably, if England do the business. We'll probably chat to you if England don't do the business, because you've just become the epitome of as always, Phil, thank you very much. We are back on air tomorrow from 12:30 on World Cup Daily. The next offering from Off the Ball is this evening from 7 o'clock. Joe and Friends on the radio from 7 p.m. and indeed on all our social channels. We'll chat to you then. Bye-bye for now.